So how do we identify a fighter jet by generation? Well, the first generation fighter jet had a jet propulsion. Second generation evolved to have swept wings, range-finding radar, and infrared guided missiles. The third generation were identified having supersonic flight, pulse radar, and beyond visual range missiles that can engage opponents from ranges that are beyond visual range. The fourth generation were characterized having high level of agility, some degree of sensor fusion, pulse-doppler radar, reduced radar signature, fly-by-wire, look-down, shoot-down missiles, and so on. The fourth generation jets had sub-generations that include 4, 4+, and even 4++, while some of the most advanced fourth generation aircraft even include some fifth generation capabilities. So what is the fifth generation aircraft like F-22 Raptor, F-22 Raptor and F-35 and India's indigenous upcoming AMCA? Well, the fifth generation aircraft is best defined as one that features stealth, low probability of intercepting radar, agile antennas with super cruise performance, advanced avionics and high integrated computer systems capable of networking with other elements within the battlespace for situational awareness, and having C3, the command, control and communication capabilities. To overwhelm anyone, a fifth generation fighter stealth aircraft like F-35 is no less than a flying computer that is embedded with 7 million lines of code in the aircraft and another 7 million lines of code in the supporting ground systems. So are these sixth generation aircraft coming up? What features would they have? Well, in this short video, I am going to tell you about not only the sixth generation fighter jet, but also about the seventh generation hypersonic fighter jet that will change the dynamics of any war beyond any limit. So stay tuned till end of the video without skipping. If you have yet not subscribed my channel, please subscribe for more such videos. Hello and welcome. My name is Shailesh Kumar and you're watching National Defense. Thanks for your subscription. So without any further ado, let's dive into the story. Most of the details on sixth generation demonstrator aircraft remains classified world over, obviously for security reasons. But the sixth generation fighter jet will be the family of systems wherein manned fighter aircraft will control small groups, even swarms of mini drones. The US Air Force calls some of these unmanned systems as CCA, the Combat Collaborative Aircraft. Essentially drones which will fly in coordination with a manned, stealthy, next generation 6th gen plane in support of a number of high-risk combat missions. The 6th generation plane called NGAD, the next generation air dominance, is considered next gen, faster, stealthier F-22 if we talk about only US program on the 6th generation aircraft. The 6th generation aircraft will adopt smart skin antenna technology by embedding antennas, sensors, transmitters, receivers, signal and information processors, radio frequency cables, power cables, electrical control cables and temperature control equipment into the aircraft skin. Fighter jets can detect enemies at a greater distance and detect them earlier and more accurately. The pictures, models and release CGI of new fighter jet uses a boundary layer free supersonic inlet with stronger stealth performance and simpler structure. The vertical tail chamber angle of this model is nearly 70 degrees. The fuselage is flat and the cockpit design is relatively low, showing that its aerodynamic design emphasizes supersonic flight capabilities. The collection of technologies moving into a 6th generation aircraft are quite significant and likely things like conformational sensors, blended antennas, a new level of AI-enabled sensing and computing, manned-unmanned teaming, smart skins with sensors woven into fuselage, and a new generation of stealth properties such as coating materials, thermal heat signature management and external configuration, as I told you earlier. Industry renderings of the 6th generation aircraft show a fuselage with no particular structures, giving it a B-2-esque ultra stealthy horizontal blended wing body. With all of these kinds of innovations in forming sixth generation aircraft, it might be quite difficult to imagine what a seventh generation stealth fighter might look like. Will there be such a thing? You may ask. Before we move on to seventh generation, efforts are completely underway to develop the next generation of combat aircraft, with the United States, Japan, Russia and United Kingdom, Sweden, Italy, France, Germany, Spain, China and even India all currently involved in producing a sixth generation fighter that could enter service by the middle of the late 2030s. Russia's sixth generation drone is equipped with microwave weapons, the shadow killer of the future battlefield. After years of development and actual combat use, drones have become indispensable and important equipment on the battlefield, and countries have never stopped developing their intelligence. The American X-47B and the European Neuron are both representative models of UAV intelligence attempts. As a military power, Russia is not willing to lag behind. It already announced a plan for a sixth generation unmanned fighter jet with the speed of Mach 5 and the addition of microwave weapons. Microwave weapons, also called radio frequency weapons, mainly use directional microwave transmitting devices to convert electron beam energy or chemical energy into extremely high power microwave energy, which can effectively attack targets within a radius of tens of kilometers and directly blind the electrons of enemy aircraft, equipment and pose a fatal threat to pilots and other living forces. With the development of science and technology, this kind of small microwave weapon that is light in weight and high in power and can meet the requirements of space combat and drone carrying is becoming a reality step by step. At present, Russia has developed ultra-high frequency microwave weapons that can disable drones and high-precision weapon attacks. The US 6th generation is closely guarded platform which is likely to operate in altitudes where normal fighter jets find it extremely difficult to fly. Japan's 6th generation fighter concept aircraft is nicknamed Future Warrior and is a large fighter aircraft that can complete long-range flight missions from Japan to East China Sea and North Korea. The UK's 6th generation fighter plane is the FCA's Future Combat Air System, which is planned to replace the current Typhoon fighters starting in the 2040s. Since 2012, the UK has been secretly testing the Thor unmanned fighter jet, focusing on developing its anti-air combat performance. Germany is also developing the Future Combat Air System for its 6th generation fighter aircraft. German version of the FCAS is likely to be a two-seat, twin-engine, twin-vertical tail fighter. The new fighter will be tested between 2030 and 2040. Germany's 6th generation fighter aircraft can be piloted or unmanned, and manned fighter will fly together with unmanned aircraft. The 6th generation fighter aircraft will be equipped with long-range hypersonic missiles. Currently, Russia is developing a new type of radio photon radar for 6th generation aircraft. The test prototype of the radio photon radar has been produced. Its visual range is much farther than existing radars, and what is displayed on the screen is not a bright point indicating the target, but almost an image. The pilot can see the outline of the enemy aircraft with external weapons within dozens of kilometers on the screen. According to previous reports by Russian media, the Russian 6th generation unmanned fighter jet will fly at an altitude of more than 50,000 to 60,000 meters. Aircraft at this altitude cannot be intercepted by any current air defense system. Now, the 7th generation stealth fighter jets with disruptive stealth technology will be hypersonic. Imagine a stealth fighter jet flying more than 5 times the speed of sound. Could it be manned? At this moment, manned hypersonic flight seems beyond the realm of possibilities, given that human would never survive the heat generated at such speeds. However, perhaps cooling technology or protective gear will emerge such that humans will actually be able to survive hypersonic speeds. If not, a 7th generation attack stealth fighter might be fully unmanned, as very high levels of autonomy already exist. Unmanned fighter jets can not only fully maneuver without needing human intervention, but have also outperformed manned jets in some simulated dogfights. Nevertheless, there are doubtless many elements of human cognition emotion, intuition, and other more subjective variables which mathematically derived computer algorithm cannot replicate. To put simply, the 7th generation jet will be unmanned UCAV with the option of a cockpit. It will be super stealthy and have a high survivability threshold under any situation. 7th generation will possess noise cancellation technology, easily transition from subsonic to hypersonic speed with super cruise capability, zero refueling for months if not for years, as it can have nuclear fuel powered engines. The research on nanonuclear reactors is already in progress. Carry unconventional weapons like EPBM or the electronic particle beam weapons or even scalar weapons. Next-gen advanced communication and radar systems for network-centric warfare including space-based BMC-3. Easy maintenance and repair capability, having smart materials with self-healing and self-correcting metallurgical properties. Hybrid VTOL variants with amphibious capabilities, also operating in underwater compatible mode in case of deep ocean strike roles, can be the 7th generation fighter, suitable for semi-LEO or the low Earth orbit air combat deployed under the Space Command Unit of the Air Force. So you see why the China is launching satellites with such unprecedented speed and developing a moon station and also preparing for own space station. So that shows that China may be preparing for 7th generation hypersonic jet. So hope you like this story. You may leave your feedback in the comment box. Thanks for watching National Defense. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.